South Carolina almost got completely destroyed by an earthquake in that area. They will admit it. They even had church steeples that they've now gone in and inched back up and straightened up so that you don't see the traces of it. It caught fire, it burned, it was not bad, almost as bad as the San Francisco earthquake of 1906. So you have this area here. This region has a problem because of that subduction, the Pacific plate and the North American plate coming together. This one and this one are because of those rifts. Those rift failed portions when it began to split off from Africa. It didn't completely break off, but it broke off deep enough that it's weak. And as you move westward, you keep catching on it. Sort of like the blade of a saw. Little irregular edges will keep checking. This is Charleston in 1886. We had a 7.5 there. Okay? And that's what downtown Charleston, South Carolina looked like. This is the incidence of earthquakes in the last 20 years along the New Madrid Fault. And we are about right there. And this is why and how it works. This is the fault zone, and this is what it looked like if you were able to cut away the earth and look at the bottom of it like this. This is a buried rift, and we talked about that a moment ago. The earthquakes are generated right in through here because the rocks are broken and they easily move. They're easily shifted, and you're continually like, it's like having a broken, let's see, how would you do it? It's as if you were having a split piece of 2x4 that's broken this way, and you're trying to push it this way on a rough surface. You keep catching the edges of it where it's broken. That's exactly what's happening through here. We're moving this way, and therefore any irregularities or bumps in that contact will produce this catching phenomenon, friction as we go. This one, set in 1975 to 1995, New Madrid Faults. And these go up to Richter 7, right in this area here. I'm sorry, Richter 5.5 in this area here. We had not had a major one in New Madrid. About 1813, 1814 was the last aftershock of the 1812 earthquake group. It wasn't a single earthquake. You think there were maybe 7 to 12 earthquakes during a 1.5-year period that created that. Yeah.
Is California actually doing better because it has small earthquakes that reduce the pressure? Are they better off because of that, or is it different?
So in some ways, some areas are doing better, some areas are not. What's happening is, what we're having here is if you're smooth, if you're lubricated, which is one of the ways people think about trying to modify the effects of it, flood it with water, so you have a lubricated surface, it doesn't catch, it just smooths. In California, there are places where you do have some lubrication, deep water. There, you're having little earthquakes, lots of 2s and 3s and 4s, so you don't build up the energy. It's when you catch, and you build up this energy that you wind up with the 6s, 7s, and 8s. So some parts of California that's happening, they're having small ones, other parts they're not. Other parts are building up the energy and it will hit. It's that, I mean, about 3 or 4, 7, 7.5s in the last 10 years out there. Northridge, San Francisco, Oakland, areas like that.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, show Paducah there.
What?
Point to Paducah on that aisle, one on the left.
On the left?
Yeah.
Paducah's right there. Not me, Paducah. That's Paducah. And it's also where the industrial complex handling radioactive waste and radioactive materials operated too. Just to the east of Paducah, of the Tennessee River. Okay? This is an example of the 1812 earthquake, an example of how far out the actual impact of it. They had church bells that were ringing in New England because of that earthquake. In other words, there was enough movement got that far that actually moved church bells back and forth. The steeples moved. The bells didn't. The clappers were actually moving. And they actually rang bells each time this happened, all the way up to here. Syria here. Excuse me. This is a record of the various earthquakes in the 1812 system. In other words, there was more than one. It happened over and over again. So once you start, you hit a bit, and it'll build up a little tension, but it's already partly broken. You hit another one, hit another one. So it's not just one, it's what we call aftershocks. So if you have one big one and it stops, don't run around. You've got more coming. And they may keep coming for as much as a month to 2 months as they keep coming. We'll go into some of that in behavior when they hit, what to do in your house, wherever you are below. All right? One of the risks, per year, you have 200 events that can be picked up by seismographs, Richter level 1 or greater, in the New Madrid fault area. So 200 a year greater than 1. Okay? There's a 4.0 event every year and a half. Remember that 4 to 5 is about the threshold where you really begin hearing these things. 6.0, about every 80 years. 7.5 to 7.6, they have said it's been as high as 8. They recalibrated back to 7.5, 7.6, 1812 earthquake is now almost 190 years old. So that means that we have had several of these and are looking, we're not too far off from having another 6. 7.5, which is the same size as the 1812 system, happens every 200 to 300 years. Some people have argued and say, no, it's every 400 or 500 years. Well, if it's every 200 years, guess what? We're due. If it's 300 years, your great-grandchildren are due. It's 500 years, we'll probably be dead for something else, but anyway. So this is an event, 75 to 8, about every 500 to 600 years, they think. They've gotten this information based on doing geology, drilling in the areas, looking at when things were displaced, where the slumps took place, the modeling associated with it took place. The probabilities for an 8.0 event by 2040, only about 3%. For 6.0 to 7.5 by 2040 is 90%. Okay? And if we get something like this, we will feel it. We will know it. So there's an 80% chance we will have one of these by 2040, within 30 years, 35 years. Now, these are not my figures. These are U.S. Geological Survey figures. Okay? Be prepared. What can we do about this stuff? We sure as heck can't stop them. They're natural. They're going to keep on going no matter what. They will happen whether we're here or not. They happened in the past, they will in the future. So what we can do is try to figure out how do we stay alive while this stuff's going on. And this is the sort of thing you need to do. Look for things you can prepare ahead. First aid kits. As for damage when the brick on your front falls off on your head, or the chandelier drops from the ceiling while you're walking under it, or the book falls off the bookshelf and hits you in the shin. First aid kits. Make sure that as much as possible in your house is stabilized, particularly these. If you have a gas water heater, bolt that puppy to the frame wall so it moves with the wall and doesn't fall over, break the gas line, and start feeding gas into your system, which is spark, an electrical spark, or anything else can set it up. If you can't keep a few basics, I wouldn't let my wife say this, but I'm going to tell her, I'm going to use her story here. We had a friend in California who was up in San Francisco when the last earthquake hit. And the earthquake hit in one of the most inconvenient places you could think of. She was taking a bath. And she started like this. She got up and she started running. And she grabbed a rope, and that was it. And she was out on the stairs. She did a couple of stupid things. I'm not going to go into that. But then she ran out, and she realized she was out there in the open with a rope, no shoes, wet, and staring around, and she had to stay there for 6 or 7 hours because they wouldn't let her back in the house. Because of potential damage, they had to assess the damage before they let her in. So if you can, try to find some things that will at least keep you reasonably comfortable in an emergent situation. The most likely condition that most of us spend at least a third of our time in bed is here. And shoes, blankets, something that you can grab quickly and run with. We'll show you how to do some of that back here in a minute. Make up plans for your pets. They don't know what's going on. Make sure, fix up some place that they're gonna be, or make sure you grab them, make sure you have leashes. They're gonna go nuts when the ground starts moving.